What if the car you are so excited to buy right now is the exact reason you feel financially stuck for years? Before you scroll away, if you are in your 20s and thinking about getting a car, this might save you from a huge mistake. I remember how powerful the idea of owning my first car felt at that stage of life. It was not just about transportation. It felt like freedom, independence, and finally becoming an adult. You imagine driving wherever you want, whenever you want, without relying on anyone else. And when you start looking at options, everything feels surprisingly within reach because you are not looking at the full price, you are looking at the monthly payment. Suddenly, a car that costs a lot does not seem that expensive anymore. The dealership tells you it is only a few hundred per month, and that sounds manageable. It feels like something you can easily fit into your life without too much pressure. And that is exactly where the decision starts to shift in a dangerous direction. You stop thinking about how much the car actually costs in total. Instead, you focus only on whether you can handle the monthly number. That small change in thinking is what makes car loans feel like a smart move, because almost any car can feel affordable when it is broken into smaller payments. And the process is designed to make everything as easy and smooth as possible. Quick approval, low upfront cost, flexible terms. Everything feels like it is working in your favor. You walk away feeling like you made a responsible and well-planned decision. But here is what most people do not fully consider in that moment. You are not just buying a car. You are committing a portion of your future income. Every month for several years, part of what you earn is already spoken for. And at that stage in your life, your income is often still growing and not yet stable, which means that commitment can become heavier than you initially expected. But in the beginning, none of that feels real because the excitement is much stronger. You focus on how the car makes you feel, not on what it will cost you over time. It feels like progress, like you are moving forward in life and upgrading your lifestyle. And when people around you start doing the same thing, it reinforces that feeling even more. You see friends, coworkers, or people online getting nicer cars and it starts to feel normal. It even starts to feel necessary, like you are falling behind if you do not do the same. So the decision becomes less about need and more about identity and perception. And that is where things become risky, because you are mixing emotion with a financial commitment. A long-term commitment tied to something that is losing value every single day. But at that moment, you do not think about depreciation or long-term cost. You think about how good it feels to finally have something that represents success. And that feeling can be strong enough to override almost any logical concern, which is exactly why so many people in their 20s walk into this decision with confidence. Without realizing they may have just locked themselves into a financial path that is much harder to change later. Now here is where things start to feel very different, because the reality of that decision slowly begins to show up. At first, everything feels fine. You make your payments, you enjoy the car, and life continues as usual. But over time, the true cost of owning that car becomes much more than just the monthly payment. There is insurance, which can be surprisingly high, especially when you are younger. There is maintenance, repairs, fuel, and all the small expenses that quietly add up over time. And suddenly, the car is no longer just one payment. It is an entire system of ongoing costs. But the biggest cost is something most people do not see clearly at the beginning: depreciation. The moment you drive that car off the lot, it starts losing value immediately. And it continues to lose value every single year, no matter how well you take care of it. So while you are paying for it month after month, the actual value of the car keeps dropping. This creates a situation where you might owe more than the car is actually worth, which means if you needed to sell it, you could still be left with debt after it is gone. That is a position very few people expect to be in when they first buy a car, but it happens more often than most people realize. And then there is interest, quietly increasing the total amount you end up paying over time. So not only are you paying for a depreciating asset, you are paying extra for the privilege of financing it. This is where the financial pressure starts to become more noticeable, because that monthly payment does not just exist on its own. It limits what you can do with your money in other areas of your life. Maybe you want to save more, invest, or travel, but your budget is already partially locked. You might pass on opportunities simply because you have that fixed obligation every month. And this is where the realization begins to form. You did not just buy a car, you bought a long-term financial commitment. A commitment that affects your flexibility, your choices, and your ability to move forward. And the longer you carry it, the more it shapes your financial life in ways you did not expect. Because money that could have been used to build your future is now tied to something losing value. This is what people mean when they talk about opportunity cost. Not just what you spend, but what you miss out on because of that decision. And when you finally see the full picture, it becomes clear that the cost is much bigger than it first appeared. Not just in dollars, but in options, freedom, and financial momentum. Which is why so many people only start questioning their car loan after they are already deep into it. Now here is the part where you take your control back, because this is not about avoiding cars, it is about making smarter decisions. The goal is not to never own a car, but to stop letting emotion and social pressure guide that decision. The first shift is understanding that a car is a tool, not a symbol of success or identity. It exists to serve a purpose, to get you from one place to another efficiently. The moment you attach status to it, the cost of that decision usually increases dramatically. Because now you are not buying based on need, you are buying based on how it makes you feel. The second shift is focusing on total cost instead of monthly payment. You need to look at the full price, including interest, insurance, maintenance, and long-term depreciation. That number tells you the real impact on your financial life, not the smaller monthly figure. And once you see it clearly, many options that seemed affordable no longer feel that way. The third shift is choosing a car that is well below what you can technically afford. Just because you can get approved for a certain amount does not mean you should use all of it. Lenders approve based on risk tolerance, not based on what is best for your financial future. So creating your own limit gives you control, instead of relying on what others allow you to spend. The fourth shift is seriously considering used cars instead of brand new ones. A used car has already gone through the steepest part of depreciation, which means you are not losing value as quickly while you are still paying for it. This simple decision alone can save you a significant amount of money over time. The fifth shift is learning to delay the decision instead of acting on excitement. Give yourself time to step back and evaluate whether you truly need the upgrade. Most of the time, the urgency fades, and you gain a clear perspective on the situation. And if you still decide to move forward, you will do it with more awareness and less emotion. This is how you turn a reactive decision into a strategic one. You move from chasing a feeling to protecting your financial future. Because at the end of the day, your 20s are not just about enjoying life. They are about building a foundation that gives you more options later on. And every long-term financial commitment either supports that foundation or weakens it. So if this made you rethink how you see car loans, I would love to hear your experience below. And if you think more people in their 20s need to hear this, share this video with them. Also consider following the channel, because we break down money decisions in simple ways you can actually apply. Because real freedom is not about what you drive, it is about what you are not forced to pay for.